Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Pacesetters, a new concept introduced to you by Harness Racing New South Wales. The plan is that we're going to talk to drivers, trainers, people in the industry and take a stroll down their journey through harness racing and what's got them to where they are today. And I'm really delighted that today our first guest on Pacesetters is Will Rixon. Will, welcome to the show.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Hey, let's go. You're in a really, really rich vein of form at the moment. You must be really, really happy with the way you're driving.
Yeah, I'm just happy with the opportunities I'm getting, to be honest. You got to try and make the most of it. And I'm getting a lot of good trainers and, a lot of good people around me. So it's, definitely enjoying it.
Yeah, I guess if we go right back to the start, what got you into harness racing right from the beginning? And obviously we're going to start talking about a really rich pedigree in the sport and your family lineage. But if you can, what's your first memory of being involved and being in and around harness racing?
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't really going to be doing anything else ever since I can remember. All I ever wanted to do was drive horses, and I got probably my family to thank for that. My mum and dad were great drivers and still really good trainers, and my whole Turnbull side of family, and it's just, I think it was just bred into me.
Have you got an earliest memory of being on track or, being around a horse, or the first time you remember being around a horse?
Oh, I've probably not an earliest memory. I think ever since I could walk, I was around horses. But the best memories of growing up were divisive with mum and dad. Me and my sisters, we went all across the country watching him race and betting some of them winners' circles for his big races. So definitely the best memories.
There's some great photos, obviously, with the history of your family, of you as a young bloke and your sisters there in the winner's circle with your mum and your dad and maybe your granddad as well along the way. I guess there's no better initiation into the sport than probably what you were given, is there?
Yes, just really lucky, to be associated with them horses, and definitely good memories.
Do you remember the first time you thought, you know what, being out there on that track, driving around, that's for me. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, probably ever since I sat behind one, I was always did mini trots and enjoyed that, and that taught me a lot. And I think mum and dad let me drive fast work when I was about 11 or 12, and from there on in, I was sort of not too worried about the mini trots and just wanted to drive the big ones. And from there on in, that's I knew I wanted to be a driver.
Tell me about the mini trots journey. Were you just blitzing it right from day one, or tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, I used to get right into it and work them after school and all of that. But wouldn't say blitzing it, but I was lucky. I went to a couple of championships and they were really good memories. Met a lot of good friends there, and they were great weekends, Easter weekends with the championships, and it definitely taught me a lot.
So as a young, you start out in the mini trots. You've obviously got, your mum and dad are, amazing at what they do, and your granddad. From an early age, are you starting to pick their brain around little tips, little pointers? What's those conversations look like?
Yeah, just blessed that my mum and dad just helped me ever since I can remember with everything, not only with driving horses and to do with horses, just in life too. Now to this day, we can still come home and might watch one of my replays, and they're still helping me, and things I can get better at. And definitely, they've just helped me a lot along the way.
Yeah, is there a particular early tip or pointer that you were given back in the day that you can recall that sort of still sticks with you, that you think was really good sage advice at the time?
There's been a lot. I remember every trial I had. I probably wasn't that good at the trials. I had a lot to learn, as everyone does, and every single trial I had, we come home and watched it on the computer, and mum and dad just point out where I could be doing better. And just that sort of always taught us whatever we you only get out of what you put in. So that's been good advice.
How do you train to be a good driver, mate? How do you go about it?
I like watching a lot of replays and doing a lot of form. I think that's very important as being a driver. I think you got to know what you're racing against, and who you're racing against. So I think that's a that's a good thing. And I know I know a lot of other good drivers. They always watch, you know, their idols and good drivers, and I know I always take good notice of good drivers around me, and even racing against them, try and take little things what they do and sort of do it yourself.
And is it for you? Is it a gut feel? Is there a science to it? Is it okay, I've got to find my moment here, or I make my move, or how do you approach it? You know, I guess upstairs in your head when you go into a race and when you're executing that race plan on the way around.
I think what I've learned along the way is, you know, instead of being, you know, there's always, I think actually what Dad's taught me from day one was try not to go out there with too much in your head, because things change when the green light goes. And, you know, I think that's important. You go out there thinking you're going to do one thing and it doesn't plan out, well, you got to be plan B. And I think going out there with a clear head is it's been good. And I think you got to make, you know, the split second decisions, and you know, try not to be too undecisive out there.
I mean, decision making is one thing. Do you put any time into the physical side of driving, and how much emphasis do you put on, you know, being physically fit and, you know, exercise, those type of things?
Yeah, if I told you I exercised and went to the gym and that, I'd be lying. I haven't been to the gym since I was in school, so yeah, I've, you know, never really been into that sort of side. Been pretty lucky with me weight and all that. So yeah, if I told you I did too much working out and that, it'd be a lie.
Okay, so let's go back a step. Let's talk about your family, because obviously we've alluded to them a lot. Obviously, your granddad is one of the all-time greats, a Hall of Famer in our sport. AD Turnbull. What was your relationship with AD as a young fella? And obviously we've had his sad passing in recent time. But what was it? What's your relationship to your granddad been like over the years?
Yeah, it's been great. We're so lucky that we got to have him as a grandfather, and he was around for most of our childhood. And yeah, just lucky that we got to spend a lot of time with him, and he was great. He used to ring up and talk to us after we had a good night, and, you know, we used to speak to him, and when we had races at Bathurst or whatever, we used to go up earlier and see him, and yeah, got a lot of good memories with him.
Yeah. Does that bring pressure in itself, the fact that you're the grandson of maybe the GOAT of our sport? Does that bring pressure?
No, I don't think so. No one's ever really put any pressure on me about that. So yeah, I don't feel any pressure that way.
Yeah. Okay, so that's AD. Obviously, your mum and dad have got amazing journey in their own right. So, what about with your dad? You've spoken a couple of times about how he's helped you along the way. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, just a lot of little things, like not only with driving, but just with horses himself, and how you look after him. And yeah, it's hard to sort of point out a couple of things. He's helped me a lot along the way, and still does to this day. Just a lot of things that are important.
And I'm sensing that, Will, that it's not just about driving the horse and the role that the horse plays in sport, but there's a real love and genuine love of horses, and you put a real emphasis on the care and the welfare of horses in your family too, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. And that's mum and dad. There's normally train about 9 or 10 horses, and yeah, all of them get looked after nearly as good as us kids. They're all pretty spoiled, and yeah, I think it's important that they get looked after well. And yeah, mum and dad are really good conditions of a horse, and which is what me and my sisters have learned along the way too. Yeah,
your sisters are had a pretty good run as drivers in this sport as well, and you guys are all really close, aren't you? Was it competitive among the siblings at all?
Yeah, it is pretty competitive actually. When we race each other, there's not a lot of talking on the way to the races, and depends what way the results go. Not always a lot of talking on the way home either, but yeah, it's pretty cool racing them, and it's definitely competitive, that's for sure.
To reflect on obviously your mum as well, because she had she's a significant player in this sport in her own right as well. you talked about the advice your granddad gives, the advice that your dad gives. Does what comes from Mum's Corner differ in any way? Has it got a different touch to it?
Yeah, she's Mum's good. She's always can pull you aside if she thinks she's something you could be doing better. And yeah, mum was a really good driver, and I always have a lot of people say to me how good Mum was and how hard she was to drive against, just like grandfather. So yeah, Mum's been unreal to us, just as well as Dad. They just both been really good.
Yeah, obviously, Will, this year was super sad for your family with the passing of AD. That day, you had an amazing experience yourself. You drove your first Group 1 winner literally hours before he passed away. Does that feel somewhat spiritually aligned for you, or literally the planets were aligning on that day? Or how do you think back on that?
Yeah, it's still probably just taking a bit to get used to. Really, it's pretty full on couple of weeks. Yeah, it was pretty crazy with everything that was going on, but to be able to do it was really incredibly special to my family and myself. So yeah, it was definitely a day I'll never forget. And yeah, after winning it was just sort of mixed emotions. It was something I've wanted to do my whole life and dreamt of, and then obviously the passing of grandfather that night. So it was it was a good way to send him out, I thought.
Was he passed away a few hours after you won that race?
Yeah,
I remember speaking to your mum a little while ago, and she said that the family let him know that you just won your first Group 1. Yeah, that's a beautiful memory to think that it could have been one of the last things that he got to learn about before we lost him. It's a beautiful memory.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a tough week. He wasn't well for the week, and Mum wasn't home, and my sisters and that got to go see him. But I had a pretty busy week. I had a lot of big races on that weekend, and didn't get to see him. So it was just it was good that Mum got to tell him before he passed. Yeah, special.
For me, you and I spoke earlier in the year, and one of the things you said was, by the end of the year, I want to win my first Group 1. For me, it just feels incredibly, just a beautiful story that all comes together at once. That the fact that you managed to do it literally on the night just before your grandfather passed away, it just rounds out beautifully for your family, I think. To think that that's one of the last things that he learned about, to me, it is a great way to bow out of this world for someone who's so revered and respected in our sport.
Yeah, it was my goal for the start of the year was just to drive in a couple of the bigger races. I got to drive in a couple of big ones the last couple of years before this year, and it was just I loved being involved in the big races, and I was just hoping to get an opportunity to get in a couple of big races, Group 1 races again this year. So I was obviously hope to win them, but they're so hard to win. So I just try not to set that too much of a goal. But when that happened, it was a dream come true, and especially for the circumstances.
Yeah, that's been one of the great things about the TAB Regional Championships format. Obviously, second year that it was run, but it's given Group 1 opportunities within the regions, hasn't it? And obviously, you're the beneficiary of one of those results.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's just give a lot of people a big opportunity, and it was. I think that format will keep a lot of people in the sport, and it's a goal for a lot of people to set themselves to every year, and even to be a part of it. It was a great atmosphere at all the championships around the areas. So it was a great thing.
You weren't sitting behind one of the favourites that night. What did you think your chances were going into that race?
I was quite happy with the draw being inside the back, because he's a horse that finishes off well with a nice run, and drawn there he was going to get a nice run. He just needed luck, and it all depended on how the race was going to plan out. But I thought it was a good draw for him, but still hard to be too confident when you need to rely on a fair bit of luck from there. And I was just lucky that everything opened up at the right time. And yeah, I thought the horse was good enough to win the race. I just wasn't sure where he was going to get to and the luck he was going to get.
How'd it feel when it was playing out and you're getting pretty close to the winning post there? How did it feel?
Yeah, well, down the back, he was travelling good, and I was just starting to think, well, there's no way I'm going to get out because there's horses travelling around me. And as soon as I thought that, well, two horses outside me like wheels, and then it all opened up, and I just remember thinking, just wait, because he's travelling good, and there's still a fair way from home. So I was just telling myself to wait to the right time, and had to get going still probably 50 metres before I'd like to. And when he first pulled out, he actually didn't move like the winner. He takes a bit of winding up the horse, and there was one outside me sort of nearly going past him. And then, yeah, just halfway down the straight, I could just feel him, lifting, and it was, I could just tell they weren't going to get past him at that stage. And yeah, it was a feeling that's hard to describe as we hit the line and I never won. Yeah.
So you get one under your belt, obviously straight away you're probably thinking, geez, I like how this feels winning one of these Group 1s. I want a bit more of this.
Yeah, 100%. That's makes you hungry for more, probably.
Yeah, you obviously qualified then to turn around and line up in the state final. Then a week later, and Father Bob wasn't given a huge chance going into that race. What did you learn out of that experience of driving in that state final?
Yeah, I thought it was a good thing, a pretty cool thing that I could drive in the first one, and for me and Mark, the trainer, Father Bob, we're just happy to be in it. We just enjoyed being in it, to be honest. We won the Group 1 the week before, and being in that race, we just saw it as just a big bonus, to be able to go in another Group 1 with the horse. And yeah, I thought his run was super to run fifth. The first four were on the fence, and he was the only one he was the first across the line off the fence. So yeah, it was it was pretty good.
Yeah, well, a tough race, isn't it? And that's it was a good field, tough race, and to finish fifth in that race, I would have thought the connections would have thought that's a pretty good result.
Yeah, definitely, especially how the draws worked out. The draws favoured the horses hardest to beat, and we bite the board early and tried to get a closer spot, and that didn't work out. But we're definitely happy with how he went.
So with that experience under your belt, have you now are you a note taker? Do you make lists? Do you set goals? Have you sort of pinpointed anything that you're really setting your eyes on? As we start to move into the bigger races, sort of through the later months of the year.
Not so much sort of like that, but as I said before, my goal was to be in bigger races. I love being in bigger races, so if I get the opportunities to be in couple of bigger races to the end of the year, that'd be great. I know got the Breeders' Challenge coming up, and a few of them sort of races. So if opportunities come up and I could be involved in them sort of races, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And how do you go about doing that? Have you started? I would have thought that your currency as a driver, goes up somewhat when you deliver on a Group 1 result like you did with Father Bob, and probably more opportunities start to come your way.
Yeah, I'm not sure how, if that's sort of the case, but it definitely helps. But just taking every day as it comes and, working hard at it, and, always happy to get new opportunities if they come and try and make the most of them if they do. Yeah.
Have you got a favourite track that you drive around the state?
I love Thursdays at Penrith. It's just, I actually loved going there when I was a kid, so now I get to drive there every Thursday night. I look forward to that night every day of the week. So I'd have to say Penrith would probably be my favourite track. Yeah, okay.
You think many people would be saying Penrith? I mean, it's interesting what people really kind of feel comfortable as a driver and as a trainer, and where they're comfortable. Do you think many people would be saying that the Penrith track's one of their favourites?
I think probably more of the bigger and better drivers would say Menangle. They like Menangle, and I like Menangle too. But yeah, it's just something that I've always enjoyed racing at Penrith and enjoy going there every week. So
I guess it's where success comes too, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've had a bit of luck there, and yeah, it's just a place that I like going. So yeah.
Got a favourite horse that you've driven?
Well, it's probably a bit rude not to say Father Bob now. He's been pretty good to me. He won the Canberra Cup and another listed race at Goulburn, and then now that Group 1. So yeah, I think it'd be pretty hard to look past him at the moment.
Yeah. What about obviously you're a bit of a, and I say this respectfully, a journeyman. Like you're one of the drivers that do get around to a lot of the tracks, and and spend your time in some of the regions and that. How's it feel going out and being part of country racing, and and particularly on some of the smaller tracks and smaller clubs, and really helping grow the sport from that perspective?
Yeah, I actually love driving on the little tracks. I love driving on the Carnival Cup meetings. I know the last couple of years I've been a junior for the Country vs City Drivers Series, and they get it nearly the whole town there. It's an awesome night. It's a good atmosphere, and yeah, just driving at tracks like that. It's in the country. It's there's a fair bit of atmosphere there, and yeah, I love getting out of them tracks as much as I can.
Yeah. So when you're a little bloke and you're thinking about, that's what I want to do. I want to be out there. I want to be the one driving. I want to be the one that everyone's cheering home on the side of the track. Is it everything you thought it'd be?
Yeah, probably. It's sort of weird to look back on now, but yeah, definitely. I always thought you have your good days and your bad days, no doubt about it. But it's not many better feelings than when you can cross the line first, and yeah, it's something that I always enjoyed, and yeah, I've always wanted to do.
Yeah. Do you ever get many punters come up and pat you on the back, or let you know that you didn't quite deliver on their expectations?
Get the odd message on Facebook, sort of from a random person saying that they're not happy with you, or yeah, even sometimes you can see a few tweets on Twitter, or someone not happy, but yeah, I try not to worry about that and take it in my stride.
Yeah. Does it ever work in reverse, and you actually get someone saying thank you?
Yeah, of course. There's always a couple of people on the side if they're at the track, or every now and again someone will send you a message, and yeah, even sort of a couple of people from school that don't like a punt, every now and again they'll send me a message and say, "Oh, well done, we're on that one," or whatever. So it's pretty cool when you get messages like that.
Yeah, well, let's hope there's more of that, mate. What about lockdown? Obviously, and obviously the health pandemic has changed everything around the world over the last 2 years. But how's it different being a harness racing driver and a competitor through the pandemic?
Well, it's difficult for me and a lot of people in the sport, because I was racing at Newcastle and a lot of other tracks, and now we can only race at Penrith and Menangle. So it's difficult on that behalf, but at the same time we're pretty lucky to be still getting to be able to do it. There's a lot of industries and people that are out at work and can't do anything, and we're lucky we can still work our horses and race. So it's difficult, and as much as it'd be good if we could get back around racing everywhere again, I think we're still lucky that there's the industry done a good job to keep us going the way we are. Yeah.
Well, mate, there is a big year in New South Wales. Later on in the year, the Inter-Dominion is around. You obviously, I'd assume that's one you'd love to be competing in. But even if you're watching on, the Inter-Dominion has played such a huge role in your family as well. I'd assume that's one you'd love to be part of this year.
Yeah, of course, it'd be great to be a part of it, but it's very hard to be able to get a drive in that series. There's a lot of good horses, and a lot of good horses already got their drivers, and yeah, obviously it would just be even good to have the series here. It'll be a great atmosphere, and it'd be great to watch all them great horses and good trainers and drivers come to Sydney for it. So it'll be good to have it in Sydney, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time. It's fantastic that we're able to connect with drivers and trainers, and and tell a bit more of their story. You guys, you spend so much time on the road and working your horses and doing long hours and that. I think it's great that the that the people out there get to understand the people who are involved in it, are really making this industry what it is. So thanks for your time. Really, really great to catch up here on Pacesetters, and I wish you the best of luck moving into some of the bigger races as we go forward. And let's hope there's some more Group 1 victories around for you soon, Will.
No worries, Paul. Thanks a lot for having me on. It's been great.
Fantastic. We'll catch you next time on Pacesetters.